Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 56 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard, and if you've been a loyal listener, welcome back. We have much to get to today and not a lot of time to do it. We have 5 sections that we'll get into, a general overview of the NBA this week, and our usual highlight, lowlight, random stat, and game of the week. Let's get to our content for the week. The Dallas Mavericks are having an all-time bad year this season. Star guard Kyrie Irving tore his ACL on March 3rd against Sacramento and will be out for the season. The injury report in Dallas is piling up. Irving, Anthony Davis, Olivier Maxence Prosper, Jaden Hardy, Derek Lively, PJ Washington, Kai Jones, Brandon Williams, and Daniel Gafford. Oh, and don't forget the Luka Doncic trade. He wasn't injured, just traded. So it's not like Doncic could take over the load with Irving out. I think we can go ahead and say that the Mavericks season is officially over. With 17 games left in their regular season, they'll probably flame out in the play-in tournament or miss it entirely. What a shame. Stop me if you've heard this before. LeBron James broke another record. The LA Lakers superstar surpassed 50,000 points for his career, regular season, and playoffs. He's the all-time leader in points scored in the regular season and playoffs separately, and now he stands alone at the top of the combined list. Last Tuesday, James needed 1 point against the New Orleans Pelicans to hit the milestone. He had 34 that night. James is still averaging 25 points per game at 40 years old, by the way. I think it's safe to say that no one is catching James in points anytime soon, or ever. Finally, Denver Nuggets superstar Nikola Jokic did something on Friday that no one in NBA history has ever accomplished. He had a 30-20-20 game. The Joker had 31 points, 21 rebounds, and a career-high 22 assists against the Phoenix Suns in overtime. As a reminder, a center had 22 assists, and that's actually an NBA record for most assists in a single game by a center. Jokic is now the third player in league history to have at least 20-20-20 in a single game. Teammate Russell Westbrook had 20, 20, and 21 in 2019 while with Oklahoma City, and Wilt Chamberlain had 22, 25, and 21 in 1968 with Philadelphia. Yes, 1968. Jokic is one of the best NBA players ever, and all he cares about are his horses in Serbia. Crazy. This episode is entitled Shangri-La. So, who's raising eyebrows at the moment? Let's go to our highlight, the Detroit Pistons. Unlike the team that we'll discuss next in the lowlight, the Detroit Pistons are actually making strides toward the future. The Pistons are 36-29 and 6th in the Eastern Conference. Currently, Detroit is 5.5 games above Atlanta for the top spot in the play-in tournament. Potentially going from the worst team in the league to avoiding the play-in tournament is impressive. They tied the NBA record for longest losing streak in NBA history last year, and now they nearly have triple the amount of wins from 2023-24, which was 14. Cade Cunningham, who was a first-time All-Star this season, is averaging a career-high 25.6 points, 6.1 rebounds, and a career-high 9.2 assists per game. Asar Thompson is putting up 1.8 steals per night. Jalen Duren is a double-double threat in the paint. Detroit even has shooters like Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder. Overall, J.B. Bickerstaff has a good core of young talent on his hands. Assuming they stay put at 6th, their most likely playoff opponents could be New York, Milwaukee, or Indiana. The Pistons' inexperience might not be in their favor come April, but I wouldn't mind being wrong. Their next game is tomorrow, Tuesday, March 11th at 7 o'clock. They will host the Washington Wizards. Let's go to our lowlight, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets were our first lowlight of the season, and they haven't disappointed in that regard up to this point. Brooklyn is 21-42, 12th in the East, and sporting a 7-game losing streak. The Nets are definitely in the capture the flag sweepstakes, which references Duke forward and potential 2025 first overall pick Cooper Flagg. That is, unless Flagg remains a Blue Devil for another year. There have been some rumblings, but nothing definitive. In the meantime, Cam Thomas has been a scoring threat for Brooklyn this season, averaging 23.8 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game. D'Angelo Russell made his return to the Nets back in December via trade. He previously played for them from 2017 through 2019. The Nets have had some roster turnover this season. Dennis Schroeder and Dorian Finney-Smith were shipped off in separate trades. Ben Simmons was finally handed a one-way ticket out of New York. Brooklyn is under the direction of rookie head coach Jordi Fernandez. As of now, the Nets have some pieces for the future like Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton, but they aren't going to see a postseason berth anytime soon. Their next game is tonight, Monday, March 10th at 7:30. They will host the LA Lakers. Let's head over to our random stat. Although we spoke on Kyrie Irving's injury earlier in the episode, we're going to talk about him now for a different reason. The legend of Ramadan Kyrie. For those of you that don't know, Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. It's believed that it was the month the Holy Quran was revealed to the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Part of this observance for Muslims includes strict fasting from dawn to sunset, no food, and water. During last year's Ramadan, which was from March 10th to April 9th, Irving was averaging 26.1 points, 5 rebounds, and 5.7 assists on nearly 51% shooting. The Mavericks had a 13-2 record at the time, and Irving even hit a left-handed buzzer-beating hook shot against Denver. His best performance was on April 7th, where he scored 48 points on 60% shooting in a 147-136 overtime win versus Houston. Irving scored 48 points and played 45 minutes without water or Gatorade. We unfortunately won't get to see another edition of Ramadan Kyrie this season due to his ACL tear, although he did have 31 points against Milwaukee on March 1st, which was the first Mavericks game during this year's Ramadan. Hopefully next year, Irving will light up the court with more dazzling Ramadan performances. Finally, let's go to Game of the Week. And before we get into this week's Game of the Week, let me go back to last week's for a second because I almost got it on the money. So last week's Game of the Week was Pistons-Clippers. My prediction was Pistons 122-115. The actual result was Clippers 123-115. Man, I'm going to get it one of these days, don't you worry, because I had one back near New Year's. I was off by 2 points. I got the team. I was off 2 points. Anyway, for this week's Game of the Week, we're going to pick the New York Knicks at Golden State Warriors. This game will be on Saturday, March 15th at 8:30 p.m. The Knicks will be without Jalen Brunson for 2 weeks due to an ankle sprain, but I think this could be a good primetime game. San Francisco will be the last stop on New York's 5-game West Coast trip. Interestingly enough, what was the Knicks' last home game before this trip? A 114-102 loss to Golden State on March 4th. Players like Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges will have to take on larger scoring loads. Meanwhile, the Warriors have been cruising since acquiring Jimmy Butler from Miami. This game will be the fourth in a generous 7-game homestand. In his last 5 games, Steph Curry has averaged 30 points and 8 assists per game. However, I'll take the Knicks 117-110. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on social media. I have two X or Twitter accounts and two Instagram accounts. The podcast accounts are under @Diehlman_NBA for both X and Instagram. My personal X account is @LarryDiehlman18 and my personal Instagram is @Mr_Sports18. They're also in the description on Buzzsprout, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at halftime. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.